Yandere is a trope that you can find in a lot of series since its introduction in 1992. Or earlier, but 92 is when it actually became popularized through the Diamond Does Not Crash character of Yukako Yamigishi. But if you want more on that and that specific character, I've done a video on Yukako already, so you can go and check that out here. But yes, the trope itself has actually found itself in a lot of series, almost rivaling the tsundere in popularity. Though sadly in most cases, the trope has really only been used to spice up already poorly done characters or give blank slate something for the readers to actually talk about. Some examples being Yuno from Future Diaries or Kurumi from Date A Live, though the latter of those examples has one fucking fire-ass design. So when Horikoshi decided to introduce his own yandere-esque character to Boku no My Hero Hyperlipodemia, it didn't strike me at first that I would actually enjoy them all that much, and the more she appeared throughout the series, the better she got. Her personality started to show alongside all the other League of Villain members, and she wasn't just a generic yandere. She was actually a lot better than that. She was even better than I originally gave her credit for, and this wasn't just my view on it either. She ended up winning over the hearts of the English reading audience in 2006 when she came in 3rd place in Shonen Jump's popularity poll for Hiroaka, polling behind Bakugo and Deku, who had been frontrunners since the very beginning of those polls. So let's discuss what makes this high school slasher and upbeat paraphiliac Himiko Toga so great. So of course this video will contain spoilers, so you've been warned. Though before we can discuss Toga as a character, we should actually examine her name for any meaning related to her character. As you see, the way Horikoshi introduced her name actually helped hide her quirk from the readers right up until it was actually revealed and explained to us. So, Himiko Toga's name in kanji when translated means the girl who wears or puts on someone else, while also altogether meaning the young female student. So it's pretty obvious to understand how this name sorta could give away Toga's quirk. Yet, this isn't how her name was spelt when she was first introduced. Because Horikoshi didn't want to give away her quirk, Toga was originally introduced with her name only written out in specifically katakana, which just directly translates to Himiko Toga. This was the first time Horikoshi has done something like this, and it was done specifically to build up hype and anticipation for her quirk's reveal. And it wasn't until November 6th of 2016 that all this anticipation and build-up finally reached its climax, at chapter 114. In this chapter, we got Toga's name written out in kanji alongside learning what her quirk does. This quirk being transform, or henshin. Which is a quirk that allows Toga to transform physically into anyone she consumes the blood of. And the more blood that she does consume, the longer she can actually stay transformed into that person. Though her quirk does have some downsides, as it cannot change her clothes and only her physical body, and it does not allow her access to a person's memories, mannerisms, or their quirk if they have one. So, to use her quirk effectively, she actually has to study her victims and learn how they act before taking on their appearance. This limitation on her quirk likely is the thing that helped mold Toga into the person she is now. And a quirk like this is actually a reason for Toga to idolize someone like Stain, as Stain is someone whose ability matches hers in a way that she finds appealing, as the both of them require the consumption of blood to be effective, and given how taboo a quirk like this would be in modern society, she likely had no motivation to use her own quirk till someone like Stain came along and gave her the courage to go out and hunt people. This idea is actually backed up with her saying stuff along the lines of, life is too difficult and she wants to make the world an easier place to live in, which given that she had a quirk that required her to physically harm and stalk someone to be actually effective, I can see how she would view life as hard, because society makes training a quirk like hers very difficult, and we've especially seen that quirks that appear villainous like Toga's quirk have a bad rep among the society of Hiroaka. Also, interestingly enough, Horikoshi has left lots of hints about her quirk in every major scene that Toga takes place in, all leading up to its actual reveal. First, you have her introduction, where she says that she loves Stain so much that she wants to meet Stain, kill Stain, and become Stain, which is a pretty strong hint to what her quirk would be. And then you have her first encounter in the woods with Uraraka and Froppy, and after she was detained by Uraraka, she started to ramble on about her views on love. As she sees it, it's wanting to become the person of your affection. She also says all this while sucking the blood out of Uraraka and talking about how happy she is that they're now friends. And now lastly, the most subtle of these hints actually comes from when she was disguised as Kami during the license exam arc. You see, when Asane smashes his head in forgiveness, his head begins to bleed and Kami can't help but point out that he's bleeding. This is because Toga has an obsession with blood, and I believe this happens twice during this arc as well. Also, Toga's choice of picking Kami shows that Toga knows which targets to pick and which ones not to, as Kami's quirk is very easily faked, and her airheaded nature allowed Toga to blend in easily with the class. Another interesting detail about Toga's quirk is that it's partly inspired by the two major cat yokais of Japanese mythology, these being the Bakeneko and the Nekomata. These are both cat demons which have shape-shifting powers and take on human appearances to cause chaos among the human world. Though more signs point towards the Bakeneko as being a direct inspiration if there only had to be one inspiration, as the Bakeneko is a cat demon created from the blood of a grieving widow. These themes of ingesting blood and becoming a human in disguise fit perfectly into Toga's quirk, especially since the Bakeneko bases all of its mannerisms off of the woman who raised them. Now, the Nekomata actually does play more into Toga's design than it does her quirk. As you see, not only is the Nekomata a cat demon which can shapeshift, but the Nekomata's natural form is a cat with a forked tail. This reflects the cat being able to shapeshift into two different things, a form of cat and a form of man. This forked idea can be found in Toga's overall design, specifically in her buns. Speaking more on Toga's design, it's actually one of the best I've seen throughout all of Hiraka. So you see, Toga is actually layered with lots of small details which help spice up her overall design the more you look into it. Examples being her mangled buns and her hair cut crookedly in an uneven hime cut. This gives us the idea that Toga probably cuts and styles her own hair by herself. She also most likely doesn't have a home to return to, given that we only know about her wandering the streets and she only wears her school uniform. She also has heavy bags under her eyes and an abundance of makeup applied to them, specifically eyeliner. All of these little details and Toga's obsession with wanting to look cute helps us understand that she's possibly playing into a subculture in Japan referred to as Yame Kawaii. So Yame Kawaii is a countercultural movement which took off globally in 2016, but had existed in Japan for a while prior. The ideas of said movement is to take stuff that isn't inherently kawaii or cute, like syringes, slit wrists, and suicide, and convert them into something that could be seen as kawaii. They do so by overly using cutesy mascots or pastel colors such as pink, teal, and light blue to make these things appear appealing. But funny enough, the point of the movement isn't actually to glorify death or entice suicide as some would assume. It actually seems to be taking off with the Japanese youth because it allows them to express themselves in a way they hadn't been able to prior. And this combination of dark themes and overly kawaii cuteness is almost the pure foundation of Toga as a person, as she is actively trying her hardest to appear cute while indulging in extremely uncute actions. She even complains that things like her Vanguard Action Squad outfit is very upsetting to her because it isn't exactly cute. Also, there's another aspect of kawaii that plays into Toga as a character, and this being the origins of the word kawaii, as the word used to carry a very negative context with it. It used to mean pitiful or small and deprived of love. This word would then be co-opted by Japanese high schoolers who then twisted the meaning to be a more positive one. The tiny aspect of kawaii was converted to a more beautiful innocence of someone, and this sparked a countercultural movement that helped invent the meaning of the word that we have today. Toga, much like the word kawaii, was shaped over time from something evil and creepy to something that people would consider to be very cute. It's actually this design that may have helped Toga become much more popular in the West than she is with Japan. As you see, the Western audience of manga and anime actually has a history with loving characters of Toga's nature. Other aspects of Toga's design is her cat-like features. First, you have her teeth, which have protruding canines that help give off the idea of fangs, which resemble that of cats. You also have the twin messy buns, which were designed to look much like cat ears, and the blushing and dark lines found throughout her entire face resemble that of whiskers. These cat-like features play into her yokai origins, while also into her Vanguard Action Squad outfit, as it has a massive detached grin, which resembles that of the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, a cat which can blend into any background and appear and disappear as it wishes. Not to mention, Toga also hunts much like a cat, choosing only prey she knows she can take out. She then stalks them, waits till they let their guard down, and then strikes when the moment is right. And not to mention that all throughout all mythology, cats are known as tricksters and masters of deception. Given Toga's quirk, all of these features just come naturally to her. So, Toga's quirk actually helps back up any of these resemblances, and all of these details compacted into a single character may be why Horikoshi refers to Toga as his most complicated design. Now, personality-wise, Toga is a very interesting mixed bag of emotion. She's obviously prone to her obsession and loves to see those who she's romantically interested in pain. But she's also extremely honest about herself and her friends. You see, she never really lies to anyone, even though her quirk is based on deception, and she tells things as they are, even if it makes someone uncomfortable. And these ideas of being naturally honest while being quirk-wise naturally dishonest might play into why she views the world as being too hard, and her honesty is her attempt to make things easier. And as time goes on, Toga actually changes from someone who lets their obsession get the better of them in a fight to the point that they allow someone to overpower them, to someone who demonstrates such serious fighting potential that they can single-handedly come close to defeating Deku, Eraserhead, and actually disabling the pro-hero Rocklock. Toga also changed from someone who wanted to join the League of Villains because it seemed like a fun thing to do and it's where Stain came from, to growing an actual deep loyalty and caring nature for her team and her leader. An example of this actually happened during the internship arc. After the murder of Big Sis Magna and her leader Shigaraki being outwitted by the 8 Precepts, Toga herself makes it her mission to sabotage the 8 Precepts from within their own ranks. This choice is actually a major factor in the success of Deku and the other heroes during the raid of the 8 Precepts base. Also, Toga was so dedicated to this mission of sabotage that she used up all the little bit of Deku's blood that she had worked so hard to get in the license exam arc, and that little bit of blood was almost invaluable to Toga, so it gives you an idea of how much she actually cared about getting revenge on the 8 Precepts. Also, as I mentioned twice earlier, Twice is probably the best thing to happen to Toga as they are the perfect team. As you see, not only is she able to take advantage of his cloning quirk, but you also have whenever Twice gets his face exposed or loses part of his mask, he begins to freak out, allowing Toga to actually have a partner which she can enjoy the suffering of while also acting as his caregiver. So Himiko Toga is a minor villain absolutely packed to the brim with depth and enjoyable moments. She helps demonstrate that Horikoshi has perfected his own writing style, as he took what could have been just a generic yandere and molded her into something much more. Someone who could even rival the protagonist in popularity. And if there's anyone who should be ecstatic about her popularity, it would be Himiko Toga herself, as she's finally as popular as she wanted to be. And hopefully, Horikoshi will expand on her in the future, maybe giving us the daily life of Himiko Toga and possibly a future arc, or help us understand maybe where she came from so we can appreciate her journey much more. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to help support more videos like it in the future, I have a Patreon at patreon.com/ManyNotTheBadGuy. And if you want to stay up to date with Hiroaka, I would recommend getting yourself a weekly Shonen Jump subscription. The scans are great and outshine just about every single fan scanlation out there, and it's packed to the brim with much more manga than just Hiroaka. And of course, once you order, you're promised at least 48 chapters of Hiroaka throughout the year.